Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating and honestly pretty provocative analysis from Krautwealth. We are exploring this core argument that the traditional, highly revered college degree has fundamentally changed. We're going to look closely at the data and the actual mechanics behind the claim that this century-old institution has morphed into what the source flat out calls a defective product. So whether you have a degree, you're currently paying one off, or maybe you're trying to decide if you even need one, this analysis is definitely going to challenge how you look at higher education. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The $100,000 defective product.
Okay, to really grasp this analysis, we got to start with a super uncomfortable premise outlined by the source. Picture this. Imagine buying a product that costs upwards of $100,000. It takes 4 solid years for this product to actually be delivered to you. And when it finally arrives, it doesn't do what it was advertised to do. Oh, and if you ask for a refund, absolutely impossible. For generations, society sold us this illusion that a college degree was essentially a golden ticket, right? A guarantee for a safe, secure corporate career. But the reality of the situation today is pretty stark. Over the last 40 years, the cost of college tuition has skyrocketed by over 1,200%. Yet, when you adjust for inflation, salaries for young graduates have remained completely stagnant. We're talking 0% growth. The source argues that this massive divergence means college is completely transitioned. It went from being a distinct competitive advantage in the job market to essentially becoming a baseline financial tax. You're literally paying exponentially more just to stand in the exact same place.
Section 2. The higher education loan machine.
So you're probably wondering, how did this happen? How did the math get so incredibly upside down? Well, to answer that, we need to pull back the curtain on the hidden mechanics of this system. As your impartial guide here, I want us to just look at the pure economics of how universities are actually funded today. To make sense of the macroeconomics, the source uses this fantastic, really simple analogy. Think about opening a bakery. You walk into a bank, right, and you ask for a $100,000 loan. The bank doesn't just hand over a briefcase of cash. They're going to look at your business plan, analyze the local market, and calculate the risk. If your bakery plan is terrible, they deny the loan. That's just standard risk management. It's exactly how the real world operates before government intervention enters the picture. Now slip the script and contrast that bakery with a student loan. In the 1990s, the U.S. government stepped in to officially guarantee student loans. And almost overnight, the entire risk model completely flipped. Think about it. If an 18-year-old walks into a bank today asking for $100,000 to study a subject with, say, historically low job placement rates, the bank approves it instantly. Why? Because the government guarantees the loan. The taxpayer absorbs the risk, the bank loses absolutely nothing, and the university gets all that cash up front. It's basic economics. When buyers have infinite credit, sellers have an infinite incentive to just keep raising prices.
So what exactly did the universities do with this infinite, totally risk-free cash flow? Did they hire a bunch more world-class professors, maybe significantly lower the class sizes? Well, according to the data in the analysis, no. Between 1987 and 2012, universities added more than 500,000 non-academic administrators. Since they no longer had to compete on the actual quality of education to attract those loan-backed dollars, they started competing on the campus experience instead. This is the exact funding mechanism behind the massive administrative bloat, the luxury dorms, and, the million-dollar campus water parks. The system didn't necessarily get smarter, it just got incredibly bloated.
Section 3. The ATS gatekeeper algorithm.
Now, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, sure, it's bloated, but I still need the degree to get my resume read, right? Well, let's shift our focus to the actual reality of the job market today. This exposes how the hiring process actually works behind the scenes. We're talking about applicant tracking systems, or ATS. Decades ago, a real human-ready resume. Today, a piece of code scores you. Let's say you're candidate number 26 in a system. You might have a really expensive business administration degree, but if you only have a 41% keyword match because your resume lacked a highly specific phrase, boom, the result is instant auto-rejection. To the algorithm, an expensive degree is completely stripped of its prestige. It's just reduced to binary noise.
The crucial point here is captured so perfectly in this quote from the source. When everyone has a credential, it becomes a commodity, and commodities have zero pricing power. The source argues that the university system basically sold you a credential under the premise that it was scarce, that it was special. But when thousands of applicants are sitting in that exact same ATS queue with the exact same piece of paper, that degree offers you absolutely zero leverage. You're paying luxury, premium prices for an asset that has been entirely commoditized.
Section 4. The psychology of the trap.
Okay, so if the economics are this broken and the job market algorithms are literally neutralizing the product, we really have to ask the obvious question. Why on earth does this system still persist? Why are millions of people still eagerly signing up for it every year? Well, the analysis points to some incredibly powerful psychological mechanisms keeping this trap fully functioning. The first is social consensus. For half a century, the collective narrative pushed by the media and corporate culture was simple: no degree equals no future. Over time, getting into college became way less about a calculated skills marketplace and a lot more about a parental status symbol. The source makes this fascinating, totally neutral observation that universities successfully leverage the emotional insecurities of parents to essentially sell social peace of mind rather than measurable economic returns. Then there's the second mechanism, which is the sunk cost fallacy. This is an incredibly potent psychological trap. Let's say a student is 2 years and $50,000 deep into a degree they realize just isn't valuable. Admitting that mistake is psychologically devastating. It's actually far easier for human beings to just double down, take out another 50 grand in loans and finish the degree, rather than look in the mirror and admit they bought a bad deal. This kind of psychological paralysis is exactly what sustains the entire system.
Section 5, the value validation hack. All right, let's break the tension here a bit. We've looked deeply at the problem, but the source actually provides an incredibly actionable solution. They argue we are entering the era of the value validation hack. The modern capitalist landscape is shifting so rapidly, and it now heavily favors proof of work over proof of permission. Let's look at a real-world case study directly from the text. Let's talk about a guy named Austin Belshak. On paper, Austin was exactly the kind of candidate the system just ignores. He had a biology degree he had no intention of using, a sub 3.0 GPA, and yet he wanted to break into elite tech companies. He sent out over 300 traditional applications through standard job portals, and the result? Exactly 0 interviews. That ATS algorithm we talked about, it auto-rejected him every single time.
So how do we turn this around into an actual winning strategy? Austin totally changed his approach, and honestly, you might want to take mental notes on this blueprint. It's the 3-pillar value validation project. Step 1, identify a specific bottleneck or pain point a target company is having. Step 2, build a data-backed solution to solve that exact problem. And Step 3, provide a crystal clear 30-day implementation roadmap showing them exactly how you would execute it on day 1. Notice, this is not a resume. It is a hyper-targeted, free consulting case study.
So here is exactly how Austin pulled this off. He completely bypassed the automated job boards. Instead, he hunted down the direct corporate emails for vice president and department heads at companies like Microsoft. He dropped his 3-step value validation project directly into their personal inboxes, essentially saying, hey, I built this specific solution for your specific team. By bypassing those HR algorithms entirely and actually proving his value up front, he didn't just get an interview, he sparked a literal bidding war that landed him an elite role at Microsoft. Proof of work totally beat proof of permission. As we start to wrap up this explainer, I want to share this absolutely brutal but incredibly powerful quote from the source material. The institutions that once held the monopoly on knowledge now hold nothing but a monopoly on debt. The central thesis of this whole analysis is that the centralized credentialing system, that old factory, is dissolving. The internet democratized the information, but the university system held tightly onto the pricing model of the past. So what's the big takeaway here for us, the focused learners? Why does all of this actually matter to you? Because we are living in a completely unprecedented era. Knowledge is free. Distribution is free. Leverage is built, not granted. You don't have to wait around for an institution to validate you anymore. You have the tools, literally right at your fingertips, to take control of your own distribution. You can build your own proof of work, just like Austin did, without ever asking a university or an HR algorithm for permission to succeed. I want to leave you with this final, really provocative thought directly from the source material. Knowing what you know now about the economics, the algorithms, and the deep psychology of the higher education system, will you pay for the chains or build the keys? Thank you so much for joining me on The Explainer today. I really hope this deep dive challenged your perspective and maybe gave you some truly actionable leverage for your own career. Until next time, keep learning, keep building, and stay curious.